Right, it's a bedtime babble. It's actually only one at the moment. It's 111. I'm sure that's an angel number, but I don't know what it is. I'll tell you what, let's Google it while I'm doing my review of the Boots nail file. This stylish little case, only a fiver, but this deadly weapon that shoots out at you. I have to say, the first nail I thought I had something wrong with my nail that I had exposed by filing the nail and exposed the saw bit underneath, and so I thought, oh, I've got a saw bit under my nail, I'll have to watch out for that. So then I proceeded to file the next nail and got another saw bit, and it turns out that the teeth on this side are more like a carving knife than what you'd expect on a nail file. So yeah, Boots, watch out for that one. Yeah, we're supposed to be Googling. No, we're not opening that. Right, 111. Computer knows me so well. What if you only see 3 ones? Oh yeah, it's relate to your mistakes. So basically, yeah, that was me today. Lots of mistakes. It's not ideal to go online and slag off your employer, even if they are being cunts. Fuck it. They've been absolute arseholes. So, that's the review of the thing. For a fiver, I'll just get some sandpaper and sand off that rough edge and it'll be fine. But buyer beware. I think I should actually just go tell them. Just for health and safety, we don't want chopping, anxiously watching EastEnders and filing their way through the finger bone. Yes, I'm decent. That's close. I'm still decent, yeah, no, that way. Yeah. It's all software itself, it's all very random. But entertaining one would hope, just for the sheer madness of watching some mad old bloke rambling naked. It's not COVID. Yeah, the reason why I actually started, that's enough of the shame. I've put the camera on to introduce you to my new friend, the Wind. In fact, when I was reviewing that camera case, I nearly introduced you to the other kind of wind, but it's gone away again now. Thank goodness. It would be so uncouth to pass wind on the tube of you. Oh. So yeah, now that I've actually got quiet, the wind is being really quiet and stuff. But before, it was like, that record cover where it was like that. I thought the roof was going to come off. Like being a baked bean. I got told off by a young feminist today. I'm ever so proud. I'm really proud of her. Because it fucking takes balls to go to a bloke who's, tried to be nice and say, you fucked up. And, yeah, actually I did, because I didn't actually mean what you think. Yeah, I was describing, like, blokes as women with penises. Because this is my logic. Females are XX, yeah, aren't they? Please tell me I'm right, or have I forgotten everything? And we're XY, So one of our chromosomes is kind of abnormal. It's different to 75% of chromosomes. And don't even get me started. I was a fucking feminist when I was about 7, and then Margaret Thatcher happened, and so I'd never use that fucking word ever again. But I do have 4 sisters and a mum. They used to call me the boy with 5 mums, and I've seen a lot of people calling out blokes for not speaking out on the issue of rape and like things that lead up to that. Yeah. I did speak up when I was when I was 14, 15. I'd been on the Isle of Wight at Freshwater Middle School, and then my dad had died on the island, and my mum never settled here. She always felt trapped on the island, and she tried, really tried. She bought, she just kept trying to live here, and then she'd realised why she really didn't like living here, and then move away again, and then move back again. But I digress. So, yeah, I remember pulling the teacher to one side and saying, there's something strange going on with this teacher, and this girl. And I was like, what do you mean there's something funny going on? You can't just go on rumours. I said, I don't know about any rumours. Yeah, I'm not talking about any rumours, I'm telling you. But there is something strange going on. What it was she was my bully. Yeah, she made my life hell, that girl. She had like a gang of like 10 lads, and because you weren't allowed to hit a girl, basically, she would just like, yeah, constantly get in your fear spot and make you uncomfortable. And if you weren't uncomfortable, she would make you uncomfortable verbally. And if you weren't uncomfortable, then she would get physical. And if you ever stepped, when the lads would just kick the shit out of you. What it was I saw in her what she created in me when she was bullying me. And so I'd gone to the teacher and I said, there's something going on here. And he dismissed me. He said, you don't like ruin someone's career over a rumour. Shut up, Steve. Be quiet, Steve. And to my shame, I fucking well did. Well, I didn't keep completely quiet, and I never will. But what else can? When you're 14, yeah. You go to the person the teacher you most trust, and they say, nah, keep quiet, shut up. It wasn't until years later he went to prison. Then there was Jamie Hall. Fuck, man. See, there were warning signs. Again. And this is what communities are letting vulnerable people down with. Yeah. There were warning signs with Jamie in that when he went camping I didn't go out that night. I was so fucking lucky as a kid. When they knocked down the school with a dumper truck, I'd stayed in that night to do my homework, and when when they went to Outwood with loads of petrol bombs, I'd stayed in that night, and when oh dear, they weren't actual petrol bombs. They were just like, we had a milk crate that they were going to think about making petrol bombs with. We just ended up throwing them about, I think. But I think that was the night when they all went camping in the campsite, and lo and behold, the one person who wasn't sort of like overly kind of like endangered was Jamie, and all the tents and everything got burnt, and yeah, it was a bit dodgy. I wasn't there, so I don't know the full story, but people were talking like they just thought it was all very fucking weird, and they didn't know what the fuck had gone on. But they were like, they weren't comfortable with it. But the highlight for me, and I should have fucking just phoned the police there and then, but you just don't know, do you? It's just fucking. The irony is, it was the husband of the woman who I'm about to describe who told me not to ruin someone's career over rumours. And basically he reached in between as she walked down the aisle. She used to wear very short skirts, and he basically just reached up there, and yeah, and basically we thought he would have got dealt with, because it was actually complained about, but he was sent to the headmaster's office, and then basically he was just back, and it's like, for fuck's sake, you know what I mean? This guy's like potentially setting fire to tents on top of what his mates are sleeping in. He's in the middle of broad daylight grabbing ladies by the bits. Yeah, he's in prison there. So, warning signs, trends is what you want to look for. If you want to keep yourselves and your family and your loved ones safe, do you know what I mean? Everyone's someone's child and nobody wants to get hurt. But the sad fact is that I'm less likely to. I can still get raped. Don't get me wrong. It's still possible to, be raped as a bloke, but you're just less likely to. And you're still going to be raped by a man 9 times out of 10 anyway. It's not going to be a roving gang of diamante wielding, strap-on. It's just going to be some bloke who's not even gay. It's just a fucking power thing, I'm sure. Rape ain't about fucking pleasure. It's about power, and that's like, yeah. So basically, yeah. Next experience, being in a friend's house, just having a nice evening. Yeah. Still love this girl, and I was there with her husband, and her younger brother, and basically the drunk husband came home. You've got to go, and the police became involved, and because basically he used to get drunk and then come home and force sex on his wife. And so the police were called on this occasion, and the police turned up and they said, nothing we can do, he's allowed to rape his wife. Well, they didn't use those words, but they said those words in other words. I think I was probably about 16 by then, 15, 16. Could go back even further. Could go back all the way. Yeah. When I was doing the drawing, when I was doing the drawing, it unearthed some memories that I'd forgotten about. Where I'd been walking down past where the gypsies have their horse fairs. Lee Farm. Towards towards the croft, down from Westerton still. And basically this guy pulled over, grey short hair, like not so very short yet styled, but yeah. Oh, you're Colin Smith's son, aren't you? Jump in, I'll run you home. And as an autistic sort of like, how old, 5, 6-year-old Steve just walking home. I just got in. And do you know, I only ever remember my dad hitting me once, and that was in Leeds. And I remember he'd shouted at me to say, come here, yeah. And I'd run. And basically, they said, oh, he only hit you because you ran, yeah. But that was about that time. I don't have any recollection after getting into that car. I don't think I was abused. I really don't, because I don't sense any trauma there. But I do believe that was a message to my father. Because I know that my dad put in, I knew that my dad had put in for postings to the Isle of Wight, the Isles of Scilly. Where else? Somewhere up in Scotland. And these were just the ones I knew about. Anyway, so we ended up on the Isle of Wight. And basically, it turns out that my dad had put in a complaint about this teacher that I'd put a complaint in about back in 1976. 1976 he put a complaint in about that teacher, and he says basically, I've found this out, and this is to Mr. Tarpey, the headmaster, who's headmaster then, and he was the head when I was there. And he was like interviewed on the telly and claimed to know nothing about any of it. Dirty little fucking scunner, Mr. Tarpey. I hope you're fucking alive to hear that. Getting your knickers and your twists because I turned up dressed as a hula girl with coconut bra and a grass skirt, raising money for children in need. I've always taken it too far. It's just like fucking no racial slur intended, no cultural appropriation. It was just purely, how do we raise money for children in need? Somebody dressed up as a Roman. And I had nothing, so the girls just dressed me up. And hula girl was the outfit of choice. So when I walked into his office, he got the shock of his life. He must have known that I was Colin Smith's son when I fucking walked in that door dressed as a hula girl. He's like, oh fuck, he's back. So yeah, it turns out my dad had actually applied to, I think my sister said, 180 different places. She says, we wondered why he was so keen to get out of town. Basically, yeah, he'd unearthed the activities. They fucking warned him via me, and we skedaddled. And then I went back when my dad died. My mum obviously didn't know any of this shit, so my mum took me back and put me back in the same school catchment. So I ended up in Jeffrey Johnson's class for geography. I think I had him as a form tutor to begin with as well. I can't remember. All I know is that he hated me. right. I'd just turn up, I rock up smiling. I don't care if it's fucking Satan taking the class. I'll give him a chance. I'm just like, yeah, cool, I'm here to learn, whatever. You know, you've got a particular teaching style with fucking focus up your arse, that's fine by me. Yeah, if that's how you have to do it, let's get down to class. Right, but no, Jeffrey Johnson, fucking worse than Satan. Fucking ended up chucking board rubbers, chalk, fucking all sorts of me. Escalated to that level, yeah. And I'd be like, why the fuck's he... Somebody else would piss him off and he'd throw it at me. And then he ended up fucking... He got so fucking wound up about it, I think people started saying to other teachers. And I had to go and do my fucking geography classes in with the year below us because he couldn't bear like me being around him. And I hadn't even said a fucking word at that point. I didn't have a clue, other than the fact that later on I went and put two and two together. And actually. So yeah, that's Jeffrey Johnson. Me and the girl ended up good friends, and I understood why she'd bullied me. That's the upshot. Then he went to prison. So yeah, boys should stand up for not only girls, everybody. You see somebody getting bullied, fucking say something. I made a video at the beginning of lockdown. Right, if you are asking somebody, can I do this? While you are doing it, that is not asking for permission. That is bullying. Yeah. So you say, can I just get this, as you lean into the fridge, brushing cheeks with the person who's got no time to move out of the way. That is yes, its intent might not be bullying, but most people would perceive that as get out of my fucking space, whether you're male or female. I was on a Dalek at Morrison's back in 1787. Stood on a Dalek, a little thing they kick around so you can get up to the high shelves. So I'm stood on a Dalek, stacking biscuits, and I feel something between my legs. And this hand goes between my legs and literally just cups everything. Gives it a little... And I'm like, I can't do anything because I'm fucking stood on this Dalek. And so I'm like, one leg's going up in the air, sort of like trying to get away from, get over this arm. And I turned around and she looked up like she'd done something good. Like, I was just like, seriously, I lost my shit. Because I wouldn't do that to a girl. It's like, you just ask permission. This is another one. I had this I really, really fancied this girl. And I'm not going to say her name. But she was perfect for me at the time because I'd not long been out of being a goth. And she had that look. And her body was amazeballs. And her personality was really quite full on. And I like that. And and so we were having fun. And then she said, as it was getting excited, she said, no. And I was like, so I stopped. And she was like, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm stopping. She was like, no, this is what I get off on. Do you know, it's one of the biggest regrets of my life that I didn't just get back on it. But I'm an autistic bastard. If somebody pisses me off, and that did piss me off, because I actually felt like I was fucking raping her for a second. And I was like, shit, get off. And because when someone says no, you're still moving. And so I'd got off, and she was like, oh, fucking hell, man. We did try the relationship again, but actually, I don't play. If somebody wants to arrange that beforehand and there's like an elaborate code word or something that can't go wrong, cool, great. Let's play games. Don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with my head when I'm in that state. So yeah, there's lessons to be learned from all angles. Let's face it, all the excuses that men use are shit. I lived in an all-girl hall of residence. I had a relationship with a girl who was more like a sister, but I did fancy the pants off her, and I had to top and tail with her in this bed for week after week after week. I didn't have to, I could have gone home. But I lived in hope, and so we just would spoon and cuddle, and yes, I got fucking blue balls, but I didn't demand a hand job or a blow job or a fucking... Eventually, one of the girls took me to one side and said, "What's up?" And I was like, fucking aching. She was like, "Well, can't you?" I was living in an all-girl hall of residence. Where do you have a fucking wank? You can't have a wank. Toilets are all fucking girl. The shower blocks are all girl. I could just about get away with having a shower with like a couple of friends going, yeah, Steve, he's okay, he's in there, don't keep it clear. Yeah, the hazards of living in an all-girl hall of residence. But yeah, Joe said, "Look, just have a wank, shut up, and nobody will even notice you." And so I did, and I felt much better. So don't listen to blokes. It's like fucking... Yeah, I won't be able to feel it with a condom. Well, never mind, go home. Yeah, don't listen to any of the tricks, any of the bullshit. And if you have a gut feeling, fucking run. Seriously. Oh... Because there are people who you just can't predict at the end of the day. And it's just like, but your gut does. Your brain can't predict it, but your gut will. Oh, I would hope it will. My gut works. For danger. Admittedly, not always. Children and dogs are best at it. Children and dogs are fucking wicked at sussing personalities out. If you want to know, take a couple of attuned children and dog, people that like you, take them and just walk them past someone. Check out their reactions. Steve's top tips for staying safe in the 21st century. Is it 21st or 22nd now? Where's the fucking plot? So yeah. But in the meantime, boys, if you know somebody who hassles people, just say to all the lady friends you care about, well, yeah, tell your mates, because this is a danger. And ladies, pass it around amongst yourselves. That's the best form of communication. You know, it's just like, if everyone had known about Jamie, what he was doing is he got a job as a prison warden, yeah, and then he was driving around in his prison warden uniform, pretending to be a policeman, and then abducting young girls on horses, and he's in prison now. And that came on the back of setting fire to tents with his mates in there, and a fucking at least one assault witnessed on a female. Mind you, the Home Office just fucking loses all of the fucking dossiers, doesn't it? Yeah, it's really frustrating. You see, I grew up in Leeds in the well, I grew up all over, but during the 1970s, we were in Leeds. Up till 77, I think, 76, 77, possibly, yeah, something like that. It's all very wishy-washy. But that was Jack the Ripper time, and my sister was a nurse down at St James's, and I know my dad was fucking freaked about that. It's like, it was where you walked. She ended up getting a moped, and that was more dangerous than Leeds in the 1970s. Fucking hell. She got stuck on the back of a car once. Oh dear. This is a good babble. I daren't post it though, because there's so many fucking incriminating fucking bits of bullshit in there. If I offend anyone, tell me. I was very impressed with Cags fucking pulling me up and saying you were wrong, and I'd say, look, I am wrong because I didn't explain what I meant properly. What I meant was this. I'm not a fucking. I don't think that women are to be tamed by penises. I really don't. If I wanted to please a woman, and I had 3 ways to do it, my penis would be my last option. My penis is about pleasing me. If they enjoy it, that's cool, but that's not how I would set about pleasing a lady. So I don't think I'm penis centric. I'm just, yeah, it works. Makes babies. Manages to get most of her wee into the toilet without getting it on the seat. I'm joking, I love the seat. So yeah, this is a bit of a convoluted one, but upshot is, you see, this is part of why I put myself out naked on the internet. It's there will be people out there who are uncomfortable with male forms, traumatized by male forms, yeah, and I'm hoping to just be kind of like a fluffy armchair male form that you could just sort of like, like a cat, but just, it's non-offensive, it's non-sexual, it's just Steve being Steve. Yes, he's naked. Just, this isn't the dangerous bit of a human. The dangerous bit of a human is in there. Yeah, and don't ever forget it. Now, the fact that the hormones in that thing can affect what's going on in there seems to be a factor. I would agree. But yeah, it's good and bad in all. It's just the proportions are different. Yeah, massively different. So yeah, there was a lot of trauma about all of this stuff growing up. I remember, especially once I moved on the Isle of Wight, it was all very fluffy for a while, and then I moved back to Leeds for sort of like high school time, and it all got a little bit angular. So back into Jeffrey Johnson territory, being bullied, back into Christ, man. Yeah, I didn't enjoy my teenage. Well, I did actually, because I'm that fucking optimistic. But when I enjoyed being a morose cunt, it wasn't easy. Huh. Yeah. But yeah, going back to Leeds, after being on the Isle of Wight, where literally you can talk to old ladies at 3 o'clock in the morning in the street and they feel safe, like you could back in Ningwood. Going back to like urban areas, suddenly people would cross over roads, even in the daytime. People would cross roads, and so I learned to cross roads to avoid women, to save them crossing roads. And it was like this perpetual sort of like fucking game of trying not to freak women out. At the end of the day, yeah, it's like it's a self-perpetuating myth. What we need is like a little fucking safety scorecard. And you have like a little card, and it says basically, yeah, these people, these are the telephone numbers, phone them up, check for all real people, and then do walking trains. Just have like, there's got to be some way to do it. Shouldn't have to be like that. I think I've run out of steam. There should be something in there I can use anyway. But upshot is, I've got 4 sisters and a mum, and I've got a daughter. And I've got a sort of partner, sort of. Well, someone who I care deeply about anyway. And what we've got to remember is everybody's somebody's child, but women are particularly vulnerable, as are other groups, but as 50% of the population, they deserve better than we have managed in the last century. 1,000 years, 12,000 years. So I actually reckon we used to have a matriarchy, and men realised and got rid and kept it down. And I would say that both women who have actually betrayed what I would call feminism, Thatcher and May, were more male than female in their thinking, in their doing. I'm not saying they were born different, I'm saying that systems corrupt, systems twist people's perceptions. What you put into your brain processes. If you don't put in concepts like equality, justice, you don't get a rounded personality. Anyway, that's 38 minutes. I've had enough now. I'm getting a sore throat from talking. But anyway, that's my bedtime babble.